Both of you are very active on social media, and there are a lot of people have opinions about you. How do you kind of just like, not let it affect you at all?
Everyone's opinion of me is just so positive. I do let it affect me. I do. Because everyone's like, you're great. And I'm like, I know.
You're not great. Blocked.
Yeah.
Do you block people ever?
No, I've muted some people. Now that it's a function on Twitter and Instagram, there's a couple people that I have muted.
Good.
Yeah. Blake Lively.
You can mute people on Instagram too?
Yeah, it's a new feature.
Really?
I know. Get excited.
Wow.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Do you recall there was a 60 Minutes segment in Australia, and somebody who worked on the film It Ends With Us was talking about her working experience as a storyboard artist for the film and how she highly appreciated the work that Justin had done. He was very considerate, very respectful, created a very accepting and inclusive atmosphere, extremely respectful towards women, towards their contribution, and that one of the storyboard makers mentioned that Blake Lively confused Justin's niceness for weakness. She believed that she could get away with anything because she believed she could. See Paul Feige, who is the director of Another Simple Favor, and Simple Favor has made a lot of remarks about Blake, about how he's such a collaborative director. He enjoys letting his actors and actresses contribute and bring suggestions. But what Paul Feig never did is he never gave Blake Lively a writing credit. He never gave her an executive producer credit. He never gave her a producer credit. Blake Lively has only ever in any of his films been an actress. And even though Paul Feig says every actor and actress does this when it speaks about collaborative bossing people around and stealing films, he didn't let Blake steal a film. Perhaps it's because Blake knew that Paul Feig, as a veteran director with a very long tenure in Hollywood, a long resume, couldn't be bulldozed. Maybe Blake saw a chance with Justin Baldoni where she could do anything because his studio was relatively new. He had limited experience as a director. That doesn't mean he didn't have experience, he just didn't have as much experience as Paul Feig. And his up-and-coming studio was beginning to get a lot of traction with a lot of Blake and Ryan's friends working with them, even Ryan's former wife Scarlett, having her directorial debut film premiere in Cannes just last week, Eleanor the Great, where she got a standing ovation. Now, the reviews of Scarlett's new movie are mixed, but Scarlett remembered her experience working with Wayfair, and she stated that they were so helpful. A very good experience, and almost every single individual that I've spoken to in this journey of covering the story has said the same things about Justin. Sometimes when you're reporting a story, you think, well, gosh, there has to be another side. There's got to be all these dirt that we don't know about. Nobody can be perfect. Nobody says Justin's perfect. In fact, they don't say that at all. They also say that he's a lot of kindness, which isn't normal in Hollywood. And because of his faith and because of his faith's belief of non-confrontation, and essentially taking one for the team because they consider the greater good, it's all about we. If we unite, we can get the greater good and leaving your ego behind. Some individuals will take advantage of that in the event that they know Justin will roll over at any time they make a threat. They will continue threatening. Well, what in the event that I told you that out of the insiders I've talked to is that this whole story actually ran out of control. And so much of what has gotten out of control has been done by Leslie Sloane and Stephanie Jones. And that the smear campaign was not Blake getting smeared, was actually Blake smearing Justin through Leslie Sloane, and Stephanie Jones smearing Justin, and Stephanie Jones smearing Blake, and Stephanie Jones betraying her former employee, Steph Jeanable. I always refer to the beginning, because I think of when this all started and when all of the negative press happened, what was the one article that hit and launched? I recalled a piece in the Daily Mail, and this is what is used in the lawsuits, and it's the shocking reality behind why Blake Lively and her Ends With Us cast members are at war with Justin Baldoni. Now, this piece is written from an insider. It was printed on the 9th of August, 2 days after the movie debuted, and then they were portraying Justin as being chauvinistic, only interested in the man's perspective, making everyone tense on the set, Justin nearly becoming this character in every sense of the room, and there being women on the set who were frightened of him. And I've had an opportunity to build relationships over the years with a lot of individuals within this industry, and I've talked to a great many people who know quite a bit about this case, and I've not spoken to one person from my source list that finds Blake Lively believable. Not a single individual thinks Ryan Reynolds, and every single one of whom I've spoken to has nothing positive to say about Stephanie Jones or Leslie Sloane. And the reason Blake Lively is so intensely concentrated on a smear campaign which cannot be traced is because Blake Lively doesn't have any evidence whatever of a single planted story. She has no evidence of a single article that was planted by Jen Ale, by Melissa Nathan, by anybody. So because she has no evidence, she has to resort to an invisible, untraceable smear campaign. And the reason why she has to direct everybody that way is because every article that was released specifically in the August timeframe about the movie was coming from her side. Her publicist, Leslie Sloane, was talking to outlets constantly. Leslie was leaking stories to the Daily Mail, to TMZ, to US Weekly, to Page Six. The volume of articles and the volume of hate that was heaped upon Justin during the August timeframe in the news through the Daily Mail and all of these other sources was due to the fact that Blake was attempting to drown out what was occurring online from the readers of the books and the feedback she was receiving on social media. She needed to reverse the story and thought if she could approach the press through her publicist, they would be able to discredit Justin. But Justin was not involved at all in what was going on online. And Justin's publicist, Jen Ale, actually talked to nobody. Nobody. They don't have one shred of evidence that she did anything. Melissa Nathan, you are seeing text messages between her and Jen. You see her telling them, I called Page Six and I told them to do this, remove this, edit this. The same thing Leslie was doing with Page Six, Daily Mail, whoever they were talking to. But every one of the articles was nearly all highly biased that Justin was the issue, that Blake was unsafe, uncomfortable, and that it was all Justin's fault. And that's the reason why, feeling if they painted him as the villain, they would be able to get Blake out of the jam. And it wasn't merely Blake that wouldn't accept that the backlash she was getting was organic. She was kept going by yes men like Leslie Sloane, who empowered her, who would lie to the press about Justin Baldoni in order to defend her. It's never about what Justin had done. It was never about it being aggressive on the set. It was always about Blake doing it in order to achieve what she wanted, to defend Blake, to repair her reputation, smear me, smear Justin, so Blake can be seen as the victim. So I'm telling you all this to remember that when you're sitting there frustrated reading the docket, there's a reason that Wayfair isn't cooperating. There's a reason that they're not playing this game, because they've never been playing the game. They've never once been party to the game. They didn't go after a smear campaign. They didn't employ bots. They did not have a digital army to do anything against Blake. They didn't have to do anything. Blake needed to blame someone for her errors. And as they've made 1,000,000 times in their filings, she blamed Justin, and she wouldn't listen to reason. And she and Ryan won't listen to anyone because they think they can just blame anybody for anything because they think they're entitled to do so. They get what they want. And so there have been so many questions, at least in my inbox and in my comments, about did Blake really smear? Or did Blake really threaten Taylor Swift? The answer is yes, she did. I know that Candace Owens made a video last week and she explained that Scott Swift was the leak, and Scott began collaborating with Brian Freriedman shortly after Blake's lawyers called her lawyers, Taylor's lawyers, and threatened Taylor. Now, the insiders that I spoke to have all informed me that this 100% occurred. Brian Freriedman was not lying, and that all of these retaliatory filings and these briefs and these motions and all of these docket clogs that you're watching are all just to make you think about something else, to stop dwelling on what she did to Taylor, to stop projecting what she did to Justin Baldoni, to shirk the responsibility and shift it to someone else, and she won't admit that she's the one responsible for her reputation crumbling. She thinks if she pays sufficient money, love bombs enough individuals, promises enough, does whatever good or ill she can with her dragons, that she can simply do whatever she desires, and that genuinely does come to an end now. And I know a great many people are extremely concerned with every single filing, and all I can tell you is, I don't know what a judge is going to do. I don't know what a jury's going to do, but I can tell you that out of all the individuals that I've spoken with that are on this case, the insiders I spoke with, every single individual tells me the mainstream media reporting on this has it entirely wrong. that having your back is having the wrong side and that it's being done on purpose by Blake because she knows that no one wants not to believe victims. She knows that if a woman accuses assault, you must believe her or harassment, and if you don't believe her, you don't believe victims. And she's counting on you to get caught up in that. She's counting on you and using it as a weapon so you feel guilty for not trusting her. And she's going to remind the court repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. And a lot of these organizations that are getting involved in this and are trusting Blake are being lied to and manipulated just like everyone else that is in her life. Because Blake and Ryan will do whatever it takes to get to where they have to be. And it doesn't matter what is true or what is not. And their publicist will do whatever she has to do to defend them and lie for them and hurt other people in order to assist them to gain more power. If Blake has the ability to threaten Taylor Swift, one of the entertainment industry's most powerful women, and as a celebrity, she has no limits. If she can threaten someone just because she wants them to come out publicly and be on her side, and she'll do it to Taylor, she'll do it to anyone. And when I spoke with an insider today, I was like, why is Taylor? Why is she not? Why doesn't she support Blake? Why doesn't she? Well, why? Well, what is it? Is it that she knows it's not true? It's because Blake has been a problem in Taylor's life for a long time. It's because Blake is dramatic. Blake lies. Blake threatens people all the time. I mean, they've witnessed it. We've witnessed it. And it's because Taylor doesn't want to be in a fight with a person on social media. And she doesn't want to get involved with something that she's not a part of. And she doesn't want to assist Blake in pushing a narrative that she has no part of. And it's not a narrative that she agrees with. And if she's referring to what Blake is doing to Justin as a story, that should speak for itself. Scott Swift actually went to Justin Baldoni's lawyers and provided them with information. And the reason that they withdrew the subpoenas is that he struck an agreement allegedly with, I read on the Daily Mail, but he struck an agreement with Brian Freriedman that if he provided Brian with what he required, whether it was, communications that they had from the attorney regarding the text messages, they would provide him with whatever they require as long as Taylor's participation in the case is minimized, right? So we'll assist you here if you can just assist us in getting out of this, which is what I believe that they were accomplishing the entire time, so they were searching for a means of attaining what they wanted to assist both themselves, such as getting Taylor out of this because Taylor had no hand in this. And I know that it angers many of you to accept the fact that she really wasn't involved, but she wasn't. And that Taylor was used and manipulated just like everyone else that Blake comes into contact with and speaks to. And Scott was going to defend his daughter's business, he was going to be Taylor's knight in shining armor, and he was sure going to let Blake and Ryan know that nobody was going to hurt Taylor. And so Blake now has the media spun because the judge overruled the motion, but that reaction that Brian Freriedman provided, but that had to be done because Blake and her staff needed to understand what Justin and his staff were aware of. They wanted to make sure that there was someone on Taylor's side who was no longer on their side, and that they knew what was going on behind the scenes. They also wanted the public to recognize that Taylor is not being weaponized by them. It's Blake who's weaponizing Taylor. It's Blake who's abusing Taylor. It's Blake who's threatening Taylor. Justin's taking the fall for bringing Taylor into it. But Blake, all Blake. Blake got Taylor involved. Blake turned Taylor into a tool. Blake lied to Taylor. Blake lied to Justin. Blake turned everyone against everybody. She's a malignant narcissist, guys. And amidst all of this, right, so you've got all these various competing stories right now. You've got all these victims' advocacy groups coming in to protect their law. And the proponents of such laws are not even interpreting the law as it's intended. The law actually does say the manner in which it was written, the one that Blake is standing to claim that she has the privilege, that this law is not applicable to individuals who want to use the law for defamation. This law is not applicable to individuals who bring false claims. This statute is not intended for individuals that are abusing this, and that's what means that a claim that is made in good faith against them is not retaliatory. Brian Freriedman has stated repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly that the claims that they have filed against Blake are in good faith, that they are not frivolous, that they are not fabricated, and that they are evidenced. Blake's side would have you believe, and the advocacies of the victim who have been deceived by Blake would have you believe that it's not done in good faith and it's not the truth and it's all frivolous. But I'll tell you something again. When you are communicating with the insiders, the individuals that are affected by this case are not only men. It's not such a different thing from Justin. He represents Wayfair, but he's not like the only individual. You know, Melissa Nathan has something to do with this. Jen Ale is getting sued. Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, but then Wayfair, which is an entire company. And Wayfair itself employs a lot of females. Tara Hanks, there are all sorts of employees that are women that have something to do with this, and these women weren't a part of any type of harassment of Blake. And you know, Blake, during that time when this was going on in August, when the movie was released, when she was receiving negative publicity for her blunders on how to market her hair care products and her liquor products, none of the stories ever said that she was sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. Never. He was chauvinistic. They had creative differences. They didn't see her viewpoint. Blake disliked being on the set. She was rude, she was hostile, or Justin was, you know, his personality, he got real, but there was never any, oh, and the fat shaming was like, oh, she felt fat shamed and which we know is not true, and she felt like he lingered on a kiss too long, but there was never this suggestion that he sexually harassed her. Never. That all changed when she couldn't escape this. That all changed when, despite everything she did, she was being screamed at by victims. And I want people to remember something because obviously the mainstream media who was fighting for victims in August has forgotten they were fighting for victims, and now they're making Blake into a victim, which is precisely what she wants. They're forgetting that Blake had a chance to be an advocate for victims, and she wasn't. She had a chance to make a stand for victims of domestic violence. She had a chance to bring light to a very serious issue throughout the world, throughout the globe, and offer assistance and resources to these victims. She never once used that platform to offer a tool to assist someone else. She did absolutely nothing like that. She only promoted her hair care business and her alcohol and Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Cross-promoting herself and her husband's business. So what I would say to anyone that has been caught up in this and the dockets and all these filings, take a deep breath, relax, and remember something. Litigation is an extremely long process. We are extremely early in the process. It is infancy stage at the moment. Litigation is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Litigation is not submitting something every single day. In the majority of cases of litigation, while they're in the middle of discovery, between the time the complaint is filed and where, like, they end up going to trial, you don't see a whole lot of movement on the docket, all right? And now you're seeing relentless movement by Blake. And again, this is being done deliberately because it's Blake's way of perpetuating her smear campaign. And the reason Wayfair is not responding the same way is because they're remaining true to who they were when it all started. They're still not going to play dirty like Blake. They're still not going to be as aggressive as Blake. They're still not going to play a PR game because they don't care about winning a story. They don't care about winning the court of public opinion. They don't really care. They care about the truth. And if you've got the truth on your side, you don't need to manipulate the court and you don't need to manipulate the public. And if you've got the truth on your side, you don't need to remind everybody that you're a victim and that you've been victimized. Because what Blake did and what Leslie did by filing this lawsuit is this is a scheme. It's the scheme that Brian Friedman has openly declared. It allowed Stephanie Jones to attempt to ruin her competition. It allowed Stephanie Jones to strike back at her employee. It allowed Blake to attempt to ruin her competition, to attempt to acquire the rights to her movie, and to just get rid of an easy target who she believed was Justin. She thought Justin was weaker than her and an easier person, and literally everyone I've spoken to has said Blake and Ryan felt that he wouldn't fight back. They were so accustomed to doing this to people, and each and every time they've done something like this, people have crumbled. People have folded. No one anticipated that Justin wouldn't fold with Blake's. All these various filings, all these various allegations. I would once again simply state, if you want to get yourself to feel crazy and feel gaslit, read the docket daily. talk about all things that she's doing and then cry and say that Justin's not doing enough, or talk about that Judge Lehman isn't doing enough and he's biased. But have you realized that in all of these motions to dismiss and all of these motions to compel and all of these interventions that they're requesting the judge to do, he's not doing something that's not an accident, you guys. He's not interfering with things that don't count. So much of what they're submitting is premature, will sort itself out. By the time he even gets to it, your arguments about discovery will be moot. Justin doesn't have to file a motion to compel to demonstrate to you guys what Blake is doing, because she just continues to file things, and she's instructing you on how she's victimizing individuals in the background. They're victimizing journalists, they're victimizing cast members, they're victimizing Taylor Swift, and advocates are all wrong. And these individuals are probably scared that the law that they formed may be on the line due to Blake. And because they are advocates, they don't want to accept that someone would lie. They don't want to accept that anyone would make up these types of stories, and they want to be able to think that Blake is being Darvoed, but Blake is one, Darvoing Justin and Jen, and so is she Stephanie Jones. Stephanie Jones is in a panic right now. I heard that a few of her longtime clients might have let her go. I've heard that she might have next to 0 clients anymore. I don't know if that indicates that Tom Brady has dropped her, but I've been hearing rumors for some time now that Stephanie is losing all of her clients, and she's losing her clients not because of Jenny. She's losing her clients because people have paid attention. Her current clients have seen what she's doing to Justin. They're seeing what she's done to Jen Abel. They're seeing what she's doing to people, and they don't want to be involved in that. They don't want a publicist like that. They believe Justin. They don't believe Stephanie. My insider is convinced that Tom Brady let go Stephanie supposedly some 6 weeks back, and that he has this 60-day notice with her where it's the contract end date. And once that's expired, he's gone. And they claim that it is all due to this suit and what was revealed about what she had been doing behind the scenes. Supposedly. And behind the scenes, nothing is any better for Ryan or Blake or Leslie Sloane. When a celebrity is saying the truth, you'll always have a lot of people out like their friends that support them. But Blake and Ryan have been iced out of their circles, and that's because everyone knows they're lying. They know that this is just their game, and they think that they can do this in the court. And so, just don't get angry, don't get upset, don't get worried. The truth is, Leslie and Blake and Ryan and Stephanie are taking the court system now to perpetuate their smear campaign against their victims. And Blake and their victims don't need to play the game because they know what happened. And there's just so many witnesses that will speak to what they witnessed. And if it goes to trial, they're going to be fools, Blake, Ryan, Leslie, and Stephanie. And a lot of these advocacy groups are going to be licking their wounds for standing up for someone who didn't deserve it. Oh, and I almost forgot as I was chatting to you guys and just sharing you all of this stuff that I've been learning from all the insiders. But someone who I was chatting to today, they said that Stephanie Jones and Leslie are both so cutthroat, and they will lie for anyone to defend their clients. They will backstab, they will do whatever, that they explained that currently it seems like they're on the same team, but when push comes to shove and it goes to trial, they will flip on one another literally. The source further explained that knowing how they are, they would not be surprised if either of them committed perjury and lied in order to cover themselves or to cover their client, Blake or Ryan. And they further explained that if push comes to shove, they'll all turn against one another because none of them want to take the blame for what they've done. Like they all got in on this and they all have various reasons for why they're doing it, but they're so deep in it now that there's truly no escape. And so they also said that not only will they turn on one another, but part of the reason why Blake is filing so much, and why Leslie is filing so much, and why Stephanie is filing so much is because they're postponing the inevitable. They know that they're not going to win. They know that they are the people who are running the smear campaign. They know that Justin didn't sexually harass anyone. They know that Justin didn't smear anyone. They're literally just trying to postpone this as long as possible with the hopes that they can muster up enough people to believe them, and that they can keep the narrative going long enough to stall the inevitable. And the inevitable is that they've been lying to the entire world about all of this the whole time, and their lawyers have been assisting them supporting this lie in the media, and they're all in on it as one. And in the end, what really changed the tides and really aided Baldoni was Blake and Ryan's blundering at threatening Taylor, because that got Scott Swift elevated and escalated, and he wasn't going to let anyone mess with her, and that got him talking to ferried men. And ultimately, it is Swift and her father that could dismantle this all. They know, Swift's side knows what kind of people Ryan and Blake are, and they are not going to let them ruin Swift's reputation. They're not going to be bullied by them. They will 100% do what they require to assist. And I was informed that they 100% absolutely have proof that Blake's lawyers dispatched Taylor's lawyers' threats and wrote, "You must issue a statement on my behalf regarding me about all of this with Balan or else." Blake will be releasing text messages. And they possess all of the proof, such as Scott gave them all, and now Taylor does not need to give anything else. They received what they required, and Blake and Ryan are screwed. And so all of this stuff that you're seeing is because they know they're screwed. So what do you think about all of this from Jones? Works the lies, the smear campaign Tom Brady supposedly firing, Jones work Jones and Taylor Swift's dad being the GOAT. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed yet, and press the bell so you never miss a video. Thank you very much for watching. Later, guys.